Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching a historic moment. Because XRP, as indicated by the headline on your screen from the Crypto Basic, XRP has been below its all-time high for 5.6 years. That is absurd. But I personally believe that we are approaching a historic moment in which that counter resets, because eventually XRP is going to hit a new all-time high. Now, of course, I can't know that for sure, and I'm not making a price prediction, and I could be wrong. But you know where I'm placing my bet. I firmly believe that that is going to happen, and we are at this point where we're going to be entering another bull run. I mean, look, unless you want to argue to me that we haven't seen the bottom of the bear market, I mean, looks to me like the bottom was in November of last year, 9 months ago, unless you want to tell me that we're actually just waiting for a new low before we can start a new trend upwards, even though, Bitcoin's up close to 100%. And, well, not quite that much. Actually, I take that back. I calculated that the other day. And it could have changed by now, but when I did within the last, maybe several days or so ago, Bitcoin is up 74% at that point in time, and XRP is actually up 85% at that point in time, year to date, for both of them. But we're going to reach this historic moment. And so the question is, how long? Well, I try to be pretty level-headed. I really strive for that. We don't need hype here. There's enough excitement here. Grounded in reality, we don't need hype. But I gotta tell you, even though I'm not comfortable making price predictions ever, and I don't know anything for sure, and I don't have inside information, I'm just a dude on the internet, named Moon Lambo, right? Silly ass YouTube channel name. I gotta tell you, with XRP actually being unshackled and the whole ETF situation I've been talking about recently, I don't see how it can't happen at this point sooner than later, unless we're going to make the argument that we have a wildcard event. That's the only thing I could see. If you're talking about stocks falling apart and crypto tanking to the downside, because crypto, of course, does follow the stock market, broadly speaking, okay, fine. But unless something like that happens, I don't see how we don't sooner than later actually finally hit this historic moment where XRP finally hits a new all-time high. And I refuse to believe, I don't think it makes sense, this idea that XRP, the all-time high it hit January 4th, 2018, that was the best there ever would be. There would never be a new all-time high. I just don't believe that. Before sharing additional thoughts, though, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so here again is the headline from the Crypto Basic. XRP below its all-time high for 5.6 years. How long until a new peak? Yes, indeed. Another way to phrase that is, win Moon, win Lambo. And the answer, of course, as always, Friday, 2 p.m. Live CoinWatch, a leading crypto-focused market tracking platform, recently released a report on the time frame several crypto assets have spent below their all-time high values. The data rightly indicates that XRP has remained below its all-time high for over 5 years. And so you can take a look at the list if you care to on your screen. This is a list of, I believe, the top 30 cryptocurrencies by market cap at the time that they posted this the other day. And of course, there's been some jockeying for a position since then, so it would be slightly off. And also, of course, this does not include the stable coins. But here they wrote top cryptos years since reaching their their all-time high. And there are only, if I counted correctly, 5 cryptocurrencies on this list that haven't seen an all-time high in over 5 years, and XRP is one of them. And out of the 5, I own 4 of them. I went through, I was like, God damn it. But that's okay. I actually hold close to 30 different cryptocurrencies, and I'm way ahead, compared to what my net worth would be had I not jumped into crypto in late 2017, just by buying and dollar cost averaging in and never cashing out to United States dollars and dealing with all the dramatic drawdowns, some over 80%, some over 90%, even with all that volatility. Me having been in the space for almost 6 years at this point, my net worth is way, way, way higher than it would have been had I not jumped into crypto. And I haven't even seen the best of it yet, I believe, because we haven't seen a new all-time high for XRP, which, as far as I'm concerned, is, a virtual inevitability. Not a literal one, but I think that's what's most probable. And so here you can see it's been 5.6 years for XRP. Tron, 5.6 years. Yes, I own that one. We've got Bitcoin Cash, 5.6 years. Yep, I own that one too. XLM, 5.6 years. Yep, I own that one. And then there's OKB. So this is the one that's been longest since all time. I actually don't know what OKB is. Maybe if I heard what it is, because that's just the ticker symbol. If it was stated to me, maybe I'd recognize it. Either way, I don't own it. I don't know anything about it, but it's at 5.8 months. So maybe that means that, I guess it just ran a little bit before the rest of the altcoins took off, because it's, instead of 5.6 years, 5.8. Oh no, I'm sorry, I misread that. That says 5.8 months. I thought it said years. Whoa, okay. I take that. Okay, so that was this year. Whoa, I didn't realize that when I was preparing to record this video earlier. I'm glad I just caught that, actually. Yeah, okay, so so there's just 4, and I own all 4 of them. There's only 4 where it's been over 5 years. Right, now I'm going to double check the other ones. It did say, yeah, Tron, Bitcoin Cash, yeah, and XLM. So yeah, those 4, I do own all 4 of them. 5.6 years. Well, yeah. So they were all, and the reason it's the same 5.6 is because they were all taken off at the same time. That was alt season, late 2017 into early 2018. So not surprising to see that. But again, it's not going to stay like that forever. And to bring that point home, there are all sorts of people who are, let's just say that they're into the data, the chart analyst types, who, for a variety of reasons, are highly confident that history is just going to keep doing what it's been doing, which is not necessarily repeat, but more or less rhyme with itself. And here you have a chart from TechDev, shared this with his 417,000 followers. This is a Bitcoin USD chart. And the red line, by the way, here is the Bitcoin 20-week moving average, and that's what he's talking about. He wrote, Bitcoin approaching historic 3-week compression levels above 20 MA. TikTok. And for those of you looking at the screen, you can see where he circled the instances where you have this interesting deviation, where Bitcoin is above for a prolonged period of time. There's this compression where it looks like it's basically Bitcoin price going sideways, but it's above the 20-week moving average. And what happens after each of these instances, dating back to a little, I guess maybe it was the end of 2012? Look, that's a long time. This is over 10 years worth of data here. And here, so we're in the 4th of these data points now. Is this one going to be different, or does history repeat? Well, Credible Crypto, with 344,900 followers on X, formerly known as Twitter, he retweeted that, and he seems to have the same perspective, and he wrote, historic compression, so he's talking about sideways trading action here, historic compression leads to historic expansion. Imagine looking at this chart and thinking, yeah, $10,000 incoming. A ticking time bomb till bear extinction, Bitcoin. So I hope they're right. That would be absolutely fantastic here. But either way, this goes back to what I'll never stop saying. This is why I love the approach that I take to investing. It's incredibly unsophisticated, but it works way better than getting in and out of positions, trying to time markets, getting impatient, or feeling emotions. I guess impatience could be considered that. And then making important financial decisions. I just buy stuff, and either it's going to work out or it's not. And I'm not going to sell at a loss. And when it comes to crypto, my God, everything's so volatile. In a general sense, the entire asset class just moves together anyway. Although the more time passes, the more you see a deviation from that here and there, which is what you'd expect. I mean, I was anticipating that back in 2017 when I jumped into crypto for the first time. I was like, well, it's just the reason that it moves together is because people don't know what the hell they're doing. But you can see outlier instances, and some things do actually go to zero and not come back. And so, there's instances. But even so, I still think, despite the fact that we're 14 years in, it's like, we're not that far. And actually, the CEO of Uphold made a brilliant point on this, because people are like, what do you mean it's a nascent asset class here? It's been around 14 years. No, this is now into maturity, and this is that. Now, and I'll tell you this, to me, it doesn't look like a mature market. Everything, especially the way that speculators are treating, everything just moves in tandem, like I just said here. But the CEO of Uphold, his name escapes me. It might be Steve McLaughlin. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I feel like it starts with an S and his last name starts with the letter M. I'm pretty sure about that anyway. But anyway, he made a point in a somewhat recent interview where he's like, people compare this, what the advent of crypto with what happened with the advent of the internet. And people say, like, look at what happened. The internet in 1995, we had Facebook a decade later. Everything was chugging along. What are you talking about? And then he goes, well, no, actually, the internet was created in the 60s. And he's right. It just wasn't widely distributed. And then there were advancements over times, and people were figuring out what protocols to use. You know that there are competing protocols against TCP/IP, which is the glue of the internet, because the internet, it's not literally one network; it's a network of networks, and TCP/IP makes it all possible. There are even competing protocols. If memory serves me, I want to say into the 80s at least, and then eventually TCP, for various reasons, ended up winning out. But you're talking about a span of decades. This did not just happen overnight. So when it comes to blockchain technology and crypto, clearly we're in very early days here. It couldn't be more obvious. And I just thought that was a brilliant way of articulating that. So I thought I'd highlight that since it's just popped in my head now. It makes it an incredible point. And again, I always go back to, this is why when it comes to some of these stupid coins, even if I don't think they're going to be here, the reason that I hold them is because we are in an immature market and the asset class in general moves together. And if I never end up selling some of these coins because they never come back, my attitude is, okay, whatever. I don't care. I don't expect to make a monster profit on literally every single one of them. But I believe that I've brought enough exposure, especially where it matters in terms of coins that offer utility, that eventually if I just hold long enough and the world catches up, I think that price catches up with value. Because price and value are different. Price is the open market price of a cryptocurrency when you're talking about cryptocurrencies, and the value is, what problem are you solving here? What's it doing for people and businesses to make their lives better, right? I think that price catches up to that. And not only does it catch up to what it is today, it keeps increasing. The value increases, which again is separate from price. The value increases, and then as that increases further, the price has even more to catch up to. Fine. Which is why I'm going to sit here and be patient AF. And in terms of, this is why I was saying this at the beginning, approaching an historic moment. Well, I'm not going to make an actual time prediction, but my God, I think there was a really good point made about the Bitcoin spot ETF by this Live Coin Watch. I'm not sure who's running their X account, but I want to share with you this post. They're talking about the spot ETF, a Bitcoin spot ETF situation here, and I don't see the SEC, not allowing BlackRock to have their ETF at a minimum. And it could be multiple firms that get approved all at the same time. That's my second guess. That could happen. But as far as the timeline, I actually mentioned this in a video, I think actually literally yesterday. The SEC can only extend, and they can delay. They can delay up to 240 days on a filing, which would bring us to March of next year. Do you believe that something like this would be a catalyst? Is it baked into the price? I'm not convinced that it is. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe to some degree. Somebody couldn't convince. If you got good data on that, then I could be persuaded for sure. Of course. Well, I always could if you've got good data. I'm not aware of a good argument for that currently. Maybe there is one. But when the floodgates open, because it's like, here's the thing. Even if we here in the world of crypto, like say we have price in just the people sitting here. Okay, what happens when the floodgates open and everybody else can now purchase it because it's available on traditional finance exchanges, in the form of an ETF? And then because that's an ETF that's required to be backed by Bitcoin, that material changes what is available everywhere else globally, even on crypto exchanges. What happens then? So even if it's priced in, I'd still argue, okay, well, what about when everybody else jumps in, when the floodgates open? So we still have that either way. But here's what Live Coin Watch wrote. And this would be great for XRP too. We want this. I don't even care if you don't hold Bitcoin or you don't like Bitcoin. We want this. Bitcoin spiked earlier today on rumors that the SEC would give a verdict on ARK Invest's spot Bitcoin ETF application. But the trend quickly reversed. The SEC instead delayed their decision. And by the way, I was paused to note, I was talking about this yesterday, and that was my guess, that they would delay. My second guess was that, not that I thought this was going to be particularly probable, but if they weren't going to delay, they'd just outright deny it. And then my third guess, and I really didn't think this would happen, was that they would approve it. I really was not optimistic that they'd approve it. And so what I thought was most likely did occur here. They just kicked the can down the road. And then, anyway, Live Coin Watch then wrote kicking the can... Oh, they wrote the same thing. They actually... I forgot that. I read this earlier. I forgot that they wrote that. And I just said that, and then it's the next line. Kicking the can down the road, indeed. Common phrase, whatever. And then they say, again, but it's no surprise. We've all gotten used to the commission's favorite tricks. The question is, will they eventually approve the application? If top firms like BlackRock are in the queue for a spot ETF approval, along with several others, then you know the pressure is on the SEC to make the right decision. After denying several spot Bitcoin ETFs, yet approving leveraged Bitcoin futures ETFs, arguably higher risk, some firms have taken legal action against the commission. Grayscale did just that in the October 2022, filing an appeal in the U.S. Courts of Appeals stating the SEC's inconsistent stance on Bitcoin futures and spot ETFs. And by the way, I'll just pause to note here, the way they worded that, it caused some confusion for me personally. I knew that they actually sued in the middle of the summer, basically. Well, technically, I guess summer starts, I think, June 20th, so it wasn't the middle of summer. But either way, it was June. I always think of it like that because, at least where I live, hot months start. But anyway, June 29th, 2022, so June of last year, you can see Grayscale sues SEC over Bitcoin ETF rejection. And Live CoinWatch, so they were talking about October, so I'm assuming this is what they were referencing, October 11th of last year. This is from CoinDesk. In SEC lawsuit, Grayscale calls spot ETF rejection arbitrary, capricious, and discriminatory. So I'm guessing that's what they were referencing. And then Live CoinWatch wrote, and many groups backed Grayscale. So, while it's doubtful that the SEC will be bullied into making a decision, it's almost certain that they want to avoid conflict with several institutional giants all at the same time, which would ultimately lead to another round of humiliation in the courts. So, what's the decision going to be? And so, look, folks, I thought that was some interesting perspective. I hadn't seen it quite worded that way. You've got major institutions, including BlackRock. What do you think the position is here? Because they have to understand that it's not just Grayscale that's gonna end up suing if these other ones don't get approved. It's like, why wouldn't BlackRock take that approach too? I mean, that's reasonable speculation. What about all these other major firms with trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in assets under management? Wouldn't they take that approach? And then since the SEC is wrong for not approving this yet, don't you think it would go horrifically for them because of the little asshat pricks? Don't you think that's most probable? And so all things considered, because they must be, well, actually, they must be, they have such egos. Who the hell knows what goes through their stupid little heads? What do you think they're going to do? I find it very difficult to believe that we're not finally going to get an approval. And again, if it's BlackRock, the latest that could be is March of 2024. That's not that far away. Folks, it's already August. So if that's what's going to kick this thing off, my God, we're going to have a hell of a 2024. And by the way, 2023 has already been amazing. For crypto, it's been amazing. I couldn't say the same thing at this point in 2022, just a year ago. Couldn't say, things weren't looking so hot, right? I mean, I was still always optimistic and have fun because I think that you let enough time pass and this stuff gets worked out. People figure all this stuff out. But still, comparatively, this is a much better year, right? A lot more fun to be in crypto now compared to a year ago. Fair to say, right? So I just imagine if we go fast forward another 12 months, who knows what's going to happen. But I'd love for future me to time travel to present me and let me know so I don't have to wait. Because I'm very curious. I'm very excited to see what happens here. It's going to be a good time, though, folks. Don't you think? Isn't that what's most probable? Because, look, XRP, it would have hit a new all-time high, I firmly believe, in 2021, if not for the SEC. I firmly believe that because it's the only crypto that was in the top 10 at the time the bull run was going that didn't hit a new all-time high. And it has the most utility and adoption, arguably, out of any coin in the top 10. But it didn't run. And even if you go with the argument that, okay, well, it's an immature market and everything moves together, so who cares about utility? Well, then I'd still say, okay, then why didn't it run? Well, the obvious answer is it was the SEC. That was the one thing. XRP ran in correlation, but not as high as it otherwise would have. It was tethered down. And now it's unshackled. What do you think is going to happen? I'm just saying, that's why I'm optimistic. We're approaching a historic moment. Legal clarity for XRP and spot Bitcoin ETF. Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it, son. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.